I wanted to talk then a little about myself, my work, and what I feel about the issues that are currently happening today, its importance, its relevance, and the solutions behind it. Not just complaining about what's happening, but showing that there are ideas, solutions to address this. The main issue that I think is that people look at, when I say my life work is dedicated to sustainability, I think people then relate that immediately to climate change and climate activities. And I often say, and I've come to the conclusion that sometimes it's just linking the understanding. We've had 2 decades of education and awareness dedicated to impact for sustainability, and people are aware. But the true meaning of sustainability and how it can be linked to and tied in with individuals' understandings is truly being stretched, and there lies the gap. When I speak about my life's work in sustainability, I'm talking about an ecosystem that is focused and structured around preserving life, dignity of life, and truly the advancement of all, without exception. And when we look at the UN Goals for Sustainable Development Goals, which have been brilliantly mapped out with 17 SDG goals, perfectly mapped out, linking across 139 targets and 245 KPIs across these targets, what we're missing is that companies now and individuals start to focus on isolated SDGs, forget the spirit about what the SDGs were created for. The Sustainable Development Goals, in their basis, is created to focus on life, the value of life. When we look at SDG 1, which is zero poverty, and we go to SDG 2, which is zero hunger, SDG 4, life underwater, 14, life underwater, and SDG 15, life above land. It's all life, it's all life, it's all about preserving life, the dignity of all. And what we find then is that it's much further and much deeper beyond simply climate and its impact on climate. The issue that we're having today then is people forget how central life is to this, to reporting, to measuring, to impact. Because unless we link in and tie intertwined life and the dignity of life and humanitarian crises that we are facing today, then we are simply failing to give a true reflection of sustainability. And this becomes then the issue, because the advancement of sustainability and reporting has become almost legislative. The EU is pushing regulations on certain climate targets and goals by 2030. And the main focus and the main effort has been on climate. And when we look at reporting in financial statements and the corporate social responsibility, where our corporate citizens are required to provide accountability and transparency on what they have done. We look at scattered, fragmented reports that are incomparable to each other. We look at the choice of a company, a corporate citizen, or an organization, or municipality, to address isolated ideas within that, to focus on perhaps CO2 levels and measurement of these via quantified difficult statistical models that the user struggles to understand, using a depletion of CO2 emissions with complicated jargon. Sounds like there is progress, but we do not know how to measure that. Measuring sustainability should come back to its goals. It should come back to what it stands for. CSR reporting, the UN reporting should bring it back to one strong binary variable: the value and measure it had to impact life, all life across the globe. And this is a score of 0 or 1, and that can deplete or bring down the entire complicated equations of what SDG and what progress we have made to nil. Because When we report on greenhouse effects and how a company has secured this but failed to mention the aid or work or the lack of, therefore, of humanitarian assistance that we have provided to companies or operations that we have in humanitarian crisis environments, then we have failed our responsibility. We are being unauthentic. And if we speak about sustainability today, every expert, every individual who truly, authentically and ethically speaks about sustainability, is in the business of sustainability, wants to build partnerships for sustainability, it is impossible for them to ignore humanitarian crisis. It is unethical, it is disingenuous, because there is no purpose having a perfect, sustainable greenhouse environment with no life there to breathe it. And then we have lost the point of what we're working for. So it's important these days that corporate citizens look at, very importantly, and the UN, requiring measurement that's understood, that makes sense, that allows the average stakeholder to be able to question, to ask and understand what's missing and what's not reported. No corporate social responsibility report should be complete without specific emphasis in the humanitarian crisis of today. We are at a global scale experiencing an awakening. It is beyond compare, and it is important that people are watching this awakening and experiencing it, and it's speeding up. An awakening where, based on the technology we have today, the AI, we are able to compare news, compare bias, and decide for ourselves. And the lack of trust and stability in governments which have exposed themselves, and systems which seem to be run by leaders rather than society and masses that should be dictating it, we find that it's become ever more important for individuals to make sense then of information themselves, to decide for themselves. New apps such as ground.news is an app that compares up to 300, 400 articles on a specific news topic that has been released, allowing you to compare bias. It analyzes bias and different views. The ability to stay awake, to make your own decisions, is inexcusable for somebody to say, I choose not to follow the news, so I choose not to I choose not to settle on an opinion because I don't know what to trust. That is no longer excuse, it's simply lazy. But we have then that responsibility. We have that responsibility to change it. It starts with understanding then what sustainability is and settling for nothing less. We need to be able to lead up now and lead with sustainability.